Yo, welcome to the show where we keep it raw, we keep it real, we keep it unapologetically creative. I'm King David, and tonight we gotta talk about it. Why does everything in music today sound the same? Same drum patterns, same melodies, same vocal effects. It's like we're stuck in the loop. Here's the truth. It's not just labels, it's the algorithms, it's not the streaming services, it's us. And the question is, why? Let's go.
You tell me, yeah. You tell me, yeah.
Yo, what's going on? Welcome. It's your boy King Joe. Man, I'm glad to be here, glad to be alive. Hope you guys are glad to be alive too, man. Today we're gonna have a serious conversation. I want to have a serious conversation today. And let's talk about why everything seems to be sounding the same in music today. Why everything seems to be the same thing. And the real question is it the producers, is it the artists, is it the engineers? Well, I think it's all of us. And I think might have got comfortable. Are we chasing trends instead of setting them? Are we playing it safe instead of pushing boundaries? Is this a reason why a lot of music sounds similar? Why there's not a lot of difference in production and music? And tonight we're breaking it all down. You know, how we got here, what's happening, and most importantly, what can we do to fix it? Thank you for joining your boy King Joe. And let's go ahead and get into it. All right. I think when we look at that situation, I'll tell you what spawned this conversation. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the fact that we've, for years, have music for years has started the same kind of the same. And it's been, monotonous where everything we hear is, sounds very, very, very similar. Right? And if you step outside of the boundaries of trying to sound like everybody else, it seems like it's a problem, right? Or people say you're doing too much. That doesn't, it may sound, they might say it sound dated, or, all the things that we use to kind of diss people from being who they really want to be and create what they really, really want to create. And a lot of times we have other people that want to project their feelings and their thought process on the creators and say, hey, I wouldn't do this, or I would do this, I would do that. And the question is, why is everything starting to sound, similar? And is it hurting sales? Is it hurting? Are we legitimately in a position now where things refuse to change and won't change? And I just think it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of ridiculous that we do this. Why does so much music today feel repetitive? That's the questions that we're asking. Are we stuck in a loop or recycled sounds and trends? You know what I'm saying? And I wanted to dive into a deep state of modern music. And I want to start with this. There's so many issues and so many things that's going on in the creative, but at the same time, I want to start with something positive. It's something my cousin Carrie said and other people are starting to jump on. It is the best time ever to be a creative. It is actually the best time ever to be creative. And I mean actually the best, absolute best time to be creative. And I think at the end of the day, that's what's most important. That's what we have to, really think about. It is the best time to be alive and to create different things, to be a creative. And once you start to recognize the tools and everything that you have at your beck and call, at your fingertips, in your hands, you will recognize like, this is an amazing, amazing, amazing time to be a producer, a content creator, an engineer. It's an amazing time, especially with technology and the way technology is moving and where everything is moving and the predicament that it is. But in the same instance, it seems as if when we listen to music, when we listen to production, and we listen to what people are making, it seems like things are sounding heck of similar. You know what I'm saying? Things are sounding like exactly the same. I'm not gonna do this one take. I ain't gonna redo it. We're gonna do it one take. And I don't know. I think it's a huge problem, and we're gonna talk about a list of problems that I think that we have, and a list of problems that we can attest the fact that things are sounding the same too. And what made me come up with this conversation and have this conversation was I had a friend, good guy, great guy. He's an artist, and he was talking about he wanted me to produce a certain style of music for him, and he gave me the formula, everything, and I'm going to do it. Like, don't get twisted. I'm gonna do it. Like, I want to do it. But currently I'm kind of in a creative mode, working on my own album and doing different things. And I was having a conversation. I was like, man, it's crazy that they want me to create something that someone else has already done, right? And let's go ahead and set the foundation, because I already know what somebody's gonna say. It's music. It's the same. 12 notes. You know what I'm saying? You got the same scales. You got the same progressions. You got the same chords. There's only so much you can create. There's nothing new on this. I already know what you guys are gonna say. But even with all that, every so often there are musical dispensations where things change, right? Every so often there are situations and stuff that happens that causes there to be a cataclysmic shift in music, a cataclysmic shift in sound. 50 years ago, we had the creation of hip hop. Years before then, we had the creation of rock. Before hip hop, you had R&B, you had rock, you had ragtime, you had jazz, you had classical music, you had all these type folk, you had all these type Negro spirituals, you had all these music. It's always been a cataclysmic shift in music and sound, and a lot of it deals with the technology that we have. A lot of it deals with the new sounds that we're able, the things that we have at our fingertips. And right now, we just seem to be stuck in that loop where everything just sounds similar. And I think one of the reasons is the overuse of the same sounds and production techniques. Google YouTube has become a fantastic tool of learning, right? And I think what's happening now is a lot of people are learning the techniques that before you would literally have to go search out and you have to get yourself. Like if you want to learn, like me myself, if I had to learn how to produce, I didn't have a lot of avenues. I couldn't go on YouTube growing up. I know I'm showing my age. Y'all see the gray look. Y'all see the gray look good. The greatest thing with the greatest thing with the video, right? But we couldn't go. I couldn't go on YouTube and just look up a bolo and say, okay, well this is what I need. Or I could go and look up different people that's making how-to videos and see how to do something, right? And now we're in the we're in the era where everyone wants to show you how to do something. Everybody wants to give away the secrets. Here are the secrets. This is the secret. This is the secret sauce. This is the plugin that's used. You need to get these sounds. You need to use arcade. You need to use you know what I'm saying? You need to use splice. You need to use all this stuff. This is the secret sauce. Whereas before we kind of had to we had to guess, right? Or we had to pick a magazine. You might have a synth magazine or hip hop magazine or something like that where you would read, and we would kind of get little tidbits of the international artists. We get little tidbits of them using the MPC 3000. You know what I'm saying? We get little tidbits every now and then to see, okay, what are they doing? What are they using? Blah, 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 blah. But if we wasn't in the room, you didn't have a detailed outline to say, this is how you do it, blah, 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 blah. And now it seems as if you have a detailed outline with all the content creators where everyone wanted to teach you and show you how to do things. You have a detailed outline to say blah, 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 blah. And I was talking to my kid. He was talking about the children. He said, man, the crazy thing is the kids are not as, he said, the kids have a lot more information in their hands, but they're not as driven as we was to learn how to do it. It's almost like it's spoiled. It's a spoiled situation, right? Hey, it's right here at my fingertips. I can literally press a button with ChatGPT. I can press a button. I can hit voice, and I can ask, and then walk me down step by step by how to produce a record. Facts. I can literally push a button on my phone and ask, okay, what's the top microphone, or what's the top audio interface, or what's the top mixer, or what's the thing for my setup. As a matter of fact, in this setup here, I was trying to see how to print, do summing using the summing mixer with my Native Instruments and I have an 8 edit to Behringer, and I was trying to see if I could song, and it walked me step to step, step by step, on how to set it up, how to song. Now, back in my heyday when I first started producing, you had to figure it out yourself. You had to sit there and go, you know what? You know, take the deep breath, and you had to figure it out. It wasn't videos, it wasn't production, it wasn't things teaching us techniques of how to do things, right? And I know you say, oh, you just sounded like an old head, blah, 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 right? But hit the whole head out. But in that trial and error and learning how to set up, learning how to produce, learning how to manipulate sounds and stuff like that, you are able to develop your own style and your own sound. Because if you think about the one of the classic eras in music, nobody sounded the same. You didn't have to have a beat stamp for people to know that was your beat. Like, you literally knew that's Timbaland. You literally knew, I think somebody else talked about this too. You literally knew that's Pharrell. You know what I'm saying? You knew the beat. You knew New Jack Swing. You knew that was probably Teddy Riley. Because we studied it, not because we had somebody tell us, because we studied it and we heard it, and they had their own kind of way of doing things. Now, don't get it twisted. We live in a industry where people copycat everything. Me going live right now and talking about production, I'm not the first one to do it. Other people have done it. You know, I just gonna give you a fresh point of view. But, you know, we live in a copycat industry where everybody is sitting there trying to, you know, they like that. They want to see if they can do it. I had a friend, and he used to get mad because I used to say, hey, man, figure it out. But, bro, you know how to do it. Now, you know, and we got mad. Like, that's my brother. Hopefully he doesn't get mad for me telling the story. But, you know, I figured out how, and this is crazy, because I didn't have, like I said, we didn't have instruction manuals, right? Or we had instruction manuals, we didn't have videos. And I remember using GarageBand, when I first learned how to use GarageBand, I started learning how to do the auto-tune in GarageBand. And it took me forever to learn how to do the auto-tune. But I figured it out. And I was like, yo, we got to do it. Now, my first time using auto-tune was crazy. I looked up on auto-tune when I got auto-tune. I wanted to know what it was doing, but I looked up when I got to it, and it was with music. Y'all might not even know this. Y'all might not even understand these programs. It was with this program called Music Maker. And they had two vocals. It's like a two vocal and music correct. It's like pitch corrected tune and Music Maker. And that's how I figured out how to do auto-tune. And it was just really just random luck. You know what I'm saying? Random luck. And a lot of times, my hottest beats used to be random luck. Random luck. I didn't have anybody to sit there. A lot of times, we didn't have anybody to sit there and walk us through how to set up our equipment. We had to figure it out ourselves. We had to sit there and read the manual. And the manual used to be a thick book. And we had to teach ourselves production techniques. Right? And now, it's like everything is right there at your fingertips. Now, if you want to learn, you can watch a video and they show you, hey, how to produce like Dr. Dre. How to get Dr. Dre's vocal chain. It's one guy, he's sitting there, he's asking, what vocal chains are you using? And they just go down the list. They be like, CMB1, printing the Pro Tools, and they just got, okay, what's so-and-so vocal chain? Oh, it's da-da-da-da-da-da. It's da-da-da-da-da, right? And seriously, you just go copy the vocal chain. You can emulate the vocal chain. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that a lot of times we want to be so informative that the kids, rather than learning and creating their own, they're taking the techniques and they're doing the same thing. All right. When I mix an engineer, I had to mix like this. You know, I got a gain stage. I gotta have this clipper. I gotta have the Pro Q. I gotta have the Fab Filter Pro Q. I gotta have this audio interface. I have this, right? And it's cool because we want to share. We want people to grow. We want things to do. But then we kind of take away the trial and error. Hey, if you really want to now, go search and see how it sounds. Search it out. You know, search it out. And we were using a lot of the old sounds too. Speaking of sounds, great segue. I was watching the video, and in the video, And I know some people will get upset with me for bringing this up, but I was watching the video, and y'all know I'm a gospel musician. I'm a lower tier because y'all be getting cool. I produced 15 million records, so I'm better than you. Like, nigga, you're not. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm better than you because I got a placement. You know what I'm saying? I got a plaque on the wall, so I'm a better musician than you. I'm like, well, I play 7 of them. I can read music, the notes. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we want to, like, at the end of the day, like, it becomes a credit contest. I did this and I did that. And some of y'all ain't really do make the beats. Some of y'all was just in the room. You know what I'm saying? You about to edit a shaker. There's 17 producers on the same record. You know what I'm saying? You was in the room, like, yeah, put this on there. And you're like, oh, I got producer credits. You know what I'm saying? But, one of the 6 million beats got selected. Great. That should be applauded. But, so if y'all want to get into that, that's cool. You can get into the credits. You know what I'm saying? You can get to it. I don't mind. I got credits too. You know what I'm saying? I don't mind getting to the credits. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can go to the credits if we want to. But at the end of the day, a lot of people go into the credits and be like, I don't know, I did this. And then you listen to, like, the body of their work. You be like, that was the best beat you ever made in your life. You know what I'm saying? That was in your top 10 of your lifetime. You know what I'm saying? The sunshine. And we know to become a star or a superstar to have a beat, man, it's kind of like now, and it's like, yo, you either got to have like the, stars got to align, or you either a drug dealer. You know what I'm saying? You got, somebody done manipulated the system. You know what I'm saying? And they can pay for your music to get on. But I think what we get to now is, they want to play that. Y'all can play that if you want to. When we came down to skill, come holler at your boy. But at the end of the day, when we're sitting here and we're talking about the sounding the same and it's our fault and the same, we also talk about sounds. I was watching the video and I was watching these. It was John Mike, and they were talking with Roland, Ed Diaz on Roland. And I know I'm gonna get in trouble for bringing this up, but when I saw the video and I love the video. It's a great video, good video. Y'all go check it out. It's gospel musicians, gospel producers, or something like that. And it's John Mike and he had CC Winans MD. They were talking to Ed Diaz, and they were talking about the new Roland V Stage piano. Incredible machine. And even when I went and watched the NAMM reviews, and I was watching the gospel musicians talking to Ed, all of them kind of brought up a similar thing, right? And they brought up the same sounds. And I was just like, and you can kind of see Ed was like, all right, cool. Ed been a consummate professional. Ed was like, all right, he was smart. I really like what Ed did. He was very smart what he did. They brought up these sounds, right? And I'm gonna tell you what the sounds are. Y'all already know. If you saw the video, you already know what I'm talking about. Or if you're in the gospel community, you already know the sounds that I'm talking about. They bought the MK Sensations and they bought the J-Pop brands, right? Now, mind you, they say, hey, if you want to sell this board, put the J-Pop brands in there and the MK Sensations and let your piano in there too. And you can just see Ed's face like, oh God, really? And luckily, I think he had a kind of a J-Pop brass in there from Roland. And they were just like, hey, if you get that J-Pop brass in there and you get that MK Sensation sounds in there, man, everybody will buy it. And I just thought about it, and I was just like, the MK Sensations is like 40 years old. Like, it came out in 85. Came out in 85, 84, 85. MK80 came out in 85, 84, 85. You're talking about a 40-year-old instrument with 40-year-old sounds. And I was just like, what if people, and I know people like hearing the same, they want to hear Billie Jean every time Michael Jackson perform, right? They want to hear Beat It every time Michael Jackson perform. But there's a lot of people that want to hear the newer stuff that Michael Jackson had too, right? But what if we only kept the great artists, the great musicians in the box and only wanted to do, as a matter of fact, this is one of the big discussions going on with a popular gospel group with Commission. I think that's where they're breaking up, where you got, FK and them on one side, they got the Commission with Mitchell and all them on one side. They're having issues that I think is a creative difference issue. And there's a beef going on. But I think it's one side I heard Fred say, hey, we got to go back to the old. And the other guy said, hey, we want to come out with some new stuff. And I'm saying as creatives, what if we couldn't come out with new videos? or every video we talked about sounded exactly the same. Now you will have some fans that will get at, I love it for the monotony of it doing the same and the similarities, but then you have other fans be like, dog, every time I see him, he talking about the same thing. He said the same thing every time I see him. I know we might have catchphrase, as cool as the other side of the pillow. You know what I'm saying? The whiff. We might have those catchphrases, but eventually, you got to move on. And I think when we talk about the instruments and the sounds, right, what we're in now is we're kind of in that what I said earlier, we're in the loop. We're kind of in the sounds. Now, it's crazy because everybody's hating on Behringer as a company for coming back and bottling all the old sounds, the Jupiter, the lid drum, and everybody's having their harsh criticism about that. But then at the same time, you got Roland that just came out with a brand new board with the Zentology sounds, new organ sounds, new tone organ sounds, different da-da-da-da-da. And we like, hey, that's great. But you know what we really want? One of them sounds you made it in 1985. You know what I'm saying? You know what makes us buy these boards? Them sounds that you had in the 80s. You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of people that have those, they want to go back and have those moments where, they go back in time. But at the end of the day, are you moving it forward? I have right here, I have a Phantom. I have a Phantom EX, right? I have a Phantom EX. And the Zendology engine is amazing. And the sounds that you can create, the sounds that you can do it is amazing. Now, they're going to have, you always have the standard sounds. You're always going to have the standard piano, the standard organ, strings, those are going to be major sounds and you're going to hear a lot of times in a lot of stuff, right? But now, even when you're talking from a church and a worship standpoint, now you have people sitting there saying, hey, it got to be, even preachers like in the pulpit, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, the worship, play the strings. Let me hit the pads and the strings and the piano for worship. Because that's the only way we can worship. The only way the Spirit of the Lord can move in the service is if I hear those strings and pads. You know what I'm saying? And you're like, wait a minute, but God might be arpeggiators and he might be. In heaven, God is the Alpha and Omega. He's probably like light years ahead in sound where we are, but we just, hey, it's only comfortable if it's strings and sounds. I only want to hoop with his organ playing. You see what I'm saying? But it moves on. The sounds move on. Like I remember, I was talking to a producer. He made a joke. He said, "Man, like, hey, man, it's time for the top doing the split with the bass and the brass and the piano. It's time out for that. We don't want to hear that no more, right?" And I'm like, nah, well, some people just a one-man band, so you want those sounds. You know what I'm saying? But you can kind of understand, saying, hey, we're moving forward with the sound of music. And it's like that really with everything. Like, how many people keep talking about the MPC 3000? In hip-hop, oh, man, the MPC, the holy grail was the MPC. Nothing hit. I was watching doggone NAMM, and all they kept talking about was the MPC 3000. Then they asked Roger Lynn, what you think about going back and doing it? He's like, man, listen, man, I'm creating something very, a new instrument. That was great for the time being, but now I'm trying to create something different. And all I'm saying is I think the reason why stuff continues to sound the same is because we're using the same tools, we're using the same sounds, and we're scared to really go out and to try to do something different. And also, we got to understand, too, streaming the algorithms, and the driven music with streaming the algorithms and trying to treat those and those things. They're looking at certain sounds and stuff like that, and they're actually niching you and putting you together with certain sounds. People have to do that, even in church. And when we talk about live musicians, and I kind of understand them saying it for live, having J-pop, MK Sensations, especially if they're going back and doing older tracks, or they're going back and doing, for back in the day, what I'm saying, where that sound was prevalent and popular, and it's still popping now. Let's not get twisted. It's still popping now. But, and I don't want to, it's no diss to that. I want to make sure I'm not dissing that. I'm just saying, hey, sooner or later, we got to move the culture forward and start bringing in new sounds and what's going to be the new sound. And the question I have is, how do we break the cycle? Right? How do you break the cycle? Yeah, people talking about, I only work in standalone. And I'll be like, why? And the truth is, and I was listening to one guy, he said, well, honestly, It kind of takes you back to being in that rumpler where you produced everything on the keyboard. I was like, cool, that's dope. But man, you got a computer now. I really think, like, honestly, we're gonna talk about it tomorrow in the synthesizers beats and inspirations video. I really think when you get down to it, especially even in live musicians, the biggest threat for Nord, Roland, Yamaha, the top synths and keyboards, the biggest threats is Apple Silicon. Because Apple Silicon is getting so fast. What's the main reason we use rumplers and boards and synths live? Because it's quick. The setup's quick. That's why people start using Korg. Like the Chronos, you know, they use the Chronos with faith. You have faith that the Chronos does not turn off. Because the Chronos off, you're just gonna be sitting there for a couple minutes. You're gonna be sitting there. So as fantastic as it sounds, and the fantastic as it keeps up, the load time is like, oh my God. Right? And I'm saying, like, the reason we like using synths and rumblers and stuff isn't necessarily that it all the time sounds better, but it's quicker. It's more reliable. It's stable. And the better that these M1 chips get, well, they're on M1, M4, M1, and the better these M chips get, the Apple Silicon chips, they're going to become, it's going to be hard for Roland to keep up, because I can have a tetrabyte hard drive sitting there with every sound, and it's loading like this. Or I'm going to the Net Sound and main stage, I'm going to the Net Sound and my program software, and it's loading instantly. Or I'm at Ableton, you know, and I load the next program up in Ableton, and everything changes, the sounds and everything all changes right there in my controller. That's the big, it's not really the boards. And that's how I really understand them going so hard at the J-pop and MK sensations, because you really can run your samples and sample that into your keyboard and then pull it up. And this is just one man's perspective. I really like the Ed Diaz in that conversation. You know, guys, Roland's listening. It's like, well, it'd be easier because Roland owns the MK6. And this is true, they do. Roland does own that. But at the same time, in the same instance, though, Roland is like, yo, let us move forward. That was 40 years ago. I know people like those moments of nostalgia. You know, we want to be the 80s pop band again. And it's cool. And it's great to relive those things. But then, too, what is the next sound? What's the next thing that's going to prepare music for? How are we as producers and artists, how are we going to break the cycle of everything sounding the same? I was hearing one producer, and he was saying, man, it don't sound like modern music. It was like, so? It sounds different. It sounds different. I think one of the biggest compliments when you make a track and they be like, "Oh, I can't think it. That sounds like you," and then it don't sound like nobody else. That's a huge compliment. You guys have all the tools at the tip of your fingers. Experiment. I'm gonna say like Jay-Z said when he's talking about we really was talking about streaming. He's like, it was the Wild Wild West. There are no rules. It's the Wild Wild West. It's no rules. As creators, as producers, take all those sounds, all those the new things that you have, you know. Because and another thing we do is we demonize newness when it comes to music, right? If we see something the old heads be hating on it, oh, I don't like that. They don't sound like the way we do it. This is the standard. Like, okay, cool, it's the standard, but yo, we still moving forward though. It's room for it all. It's room for nostalgia, but then there's room for moving things forward. And I think a lot of times we have a lot of people that's copying. You know, every day, because I'm a musician and I like playing, every day I'm seeing videos where people are showing you how to play this chord. Try this progression. This will help you out when you're playing your next service. Play it like this. Or you want to be a gospel organist? Do this. These are the gospel chords. These are the gospel sounds. That sounds like church to me. Cool. Maybe not everybody. Not everybody. You got some purists don't like any sense. They just want piano, a bass. Who was that? Corey Henry came out with one of the illest records. I feel it should have won the Grammy. He came out with one of the illest records recently where he was just playing, sitting in. Yeah, they might have did win the Grammy. He was just sitting there playing the piano. It was just him and the piano, and that thing was phenomenal. But then I'm seeing some other cats that's coming in there moving music forward, and then doing stuff. You be like, oh my God, is that what you're doing with those tools? These companies are creating new tools for us to create new sounds and new ways, new facets, new flavors. One thing I hate about aging too, though, was when I was younger in production, I took a lot more risk. I was just trying stuff, throwing stuff in the wall. Now it's kind of like, okay, I know I want to do this. Let me set it up this way. Let me have this template of how I'm gonna mix it. Let me have these instruments already templated in this. I'm using this drum kick, this loop, this. And it helps with speed and flow when you're working and you're doing business and stuff like that. But we're talking about creativity. We're talking about moving it forward. Let me know. Was I right? Was I wrong? Hit the like, subscribe. Thank you guys for your chance. Look out for the new synthesizer beats. We're going to talk about, me and Kerry come together. We're going to talk about what, we got some interesting topics coming up. Top producers of the day, top producers of all time. Y'all don't want to miss that. We're also going to be talking about some of the things that we talked about today. Native Instruments and the NPC have both released their schedules. We'll discuss that. And we'll also discuss which really sounds better. Because some people say it's the NPC. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Which sounds better? We'll break down why we think one sounds better, why the other sounds better, which is the best one to have in 2025. We'll give you our opinion. Listen, go out, create, be you. Go out, be you. Sound different. Find your voice. Find your production style. You know, take the old heads and as inspiration, be inspired. You know, and then go out and change the world. Change the world. Because you know what? Keep doing what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, guys, success, and I mean success looks fantastic on you. You guys have a great day. It's your boy King Joe. I'll holler at you soon. Peace.
Hey. Yeah. She said you sound real good.